Hey folks, I'm with Allison Gill of Mother She Writes. You know Mother She Wrote, you know her, you love her. She's also the host of the Fantastic Daily Beans podcast. And right before we went live, I was telling Allison we're masochists cursed to know about Groypers and Christian nationalists and the online incel gaming community. And so when we're seeing more and more information come out about the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old young white straight male, not a transgender person, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, and some of these information and engravings that were found in the bullets. Everyone's like, I don't understand this, but sadly, we do. And the governor of Utah had a very interesting and strange announcement at the press conference where he said, "Oh, he's one of us. We wished he wasn't. We wished he might have come from another country, but he's one of us." And that's going to be something that MAGA, no matter how much, no, how hard they're trying to spin this. And I was just telling Allison, oh, they're desperate. Every time, oh, they're desperately trying to spin. But more and more information that comes out, and again, the information that we know that we'll share, it seems very clear that he is not a flaming leftist or a Democrat or a transgender person. Oh, all the people that the right wing, MAGA, Donald Trump, Nancy Mace, Laura Ingham tried to gin up hate against, literally trying to incite violence and threats against the rest of us, including me and Allison, right? The last 3 days, the death threats, the doxing, the fact that the president, Donald Trump, went on television without a suspect and said the following. Liberal criticism of conservatives was, quote, directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. He said that before there was any suspect. He said that before there was any motive. Today on Fox, when he was asked what he was going to do to make this country safe, he said, I really don't care. Today, a reporter asked him, my condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. How are you holding up? He said, I think very good. And by the way, did you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House. And Nancy Mace, who went all out, blamed a tranny, talked about transgender violence, right? When it was found out that it was, again, Tyler Robinson, and we'll give you a bit of facts and details about him, she said this. We know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same. An hour later, we truly believe if Tyler Robinson had ever sat down across from Charlie, the great debater, the man of faith and grace he was, Tyler wouldn't have pulled the trigger. Interesting. All the sympathy for the shooter. Now that the shooter has been identified, allegedly, the alleged shooter is Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, white, straight, male, Christian, with a conservative background, Second Amendment supporter, experienced firearms user, good son, outside of murder was law abiding. His household, Republican household, MAGA household, Blue Lives Matter household, Second Amendment right household, taught to shoot since a young age, father, an ex-sheriff, convinced Tyler to turn himself in. Um, what we also have found out on the engravings on the bullets, hey fascist, catch, up arrow, right arrow, three down arrows, a slur against gay people, Bella Ciao. And for those who know anything, know that these is the language and idioms used by the Groypers. Groypers, we'll talk about in a second, have said, oh my God, he might be one of ours on 4chan. Speaking about Groypers, they also have an icon, Pepe the Frog. A couple of years ago, his mom posted on Facebook, my son is some weird icon for Halloween. Tyler Robinson decided to be Pepe the Frog and mimic one of the memes. And we'll talk about all of this, folks. And connect the dots for you. And so to connect the dots, I have, of course, Allison, who knows all about the online gaming community, Groypers, and Helldivers too. Allison, what are these crazy words that are coming out of my mouth? I'm an unfrozen caveman. What does this all mean, Allison?
Well, hey, everybody. Hello. I am learning right along with all of y'all, but to watch the corporate media fumble around and fuck it up is kind of embarrassing. And it just reminds me of, when I say watch the olds try to explain this or try to break through the nuanced veil, I'm including myself in that.
Hey, I'm pretty good at it. I've been pretty well.
You're pretty good at it. But first of all, I just want to say, we'll talk about the messages on the bullets first and Helldivers too. But I also want to kind of dispel the notion that this is some sort of an inside job. I think that if this were an inside job, they would have a leftist, woke, Marxist, transgender person in custody, and it
With blue hair.
would have gone there with piercings and blue hair. So, but here we have the FBI just with Kash Patel completely inept, coming, and the governor coming on saying, "We got him." No, I mean, technically you do have him in custody, but you didn't get anyone. He came, his father told him to turn himself in. He
Remember
came.
yesterday, Allison, when they were asked and they said, we have no leads, we have no idea?
Mhm. Right. And a lot of that, I think Andrew Weissman brought up a good point on MSNBC. He's like, if they had found his car, we would be able to take that VIN number and go from owner to owner to owner to owner. But because we only have a gun, we can't do that because of 2A laws in this country, and because of people like Charlie Kirk, because of people who don't want us to be able to track serial numbers to owners on a national registry for guns. So, my questions, if I got to sit down with any of these folks like Nancy Mace, I would be, so do you want us to have a national registry so you could have caught him instead of having him turn himself in? What if the next time it's not somebody who's willing to turn themselves in and you can't catch them? Would you be willing to have a national gun registry so that we can catch these people who are now coming after you as well? So we could talk about that later. But as far as the messages on the bullets, um, we have, let's see, we've got Helldivers 2. It takes place, this game, on Super Earth in the 22nd
Yep.
century. And it's a united planet governed by something called managed democracy, which is a fascist state made to look like a democracy, to trick the citizens into thinking that they're living free. So I think it's a really interesting, kind of ironic utilization of some of these phrases. So, hey,
And
fascist.
also, can I also say one thing? That game in which you're like fighting against fascism, and much like fascists both here and abroad have done, is they co-opted that game, and by co-opting that game, they've added actual Nazi images and Nazi tropes around the game.
Well, you're ironically fighting as a fascist. It's kind of like a "Are we the baddies?" sort of a meme, right? It's like Super Troopers if you want to get into it. But so they have "O Bella, Bella Ciao," which is an anti-fascist anthem, but it is used by the Groypers in their America First Groyper War stuff, which is against Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, for example. And these are followers of Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes is basically so far to the right that he thinks that MAGA and Trump and Charlie Kirk are too nice to Jewish people and
Yep.
not hard right enough, right? So, of course, we have the Wall Street Journal coming out and saying, oh, this is transgender ideology and anti-fascist ideology. It must be a left-winger. They took the series of arrows to mean that's some sort of a transgender uh, iconography or something like that. But it's not. It is a controller sequence that you
There.
put in if you want to, in the Helldivers 2 game, if you want to drop a 500-kilogram bomb or an 1,100-pound bomb on an enemy. And so the arrows with the hey fascist catch are, here's me dropping a bomb on you in this particular video game. We also have of course, the bulge meme, right? Which
Yep.
is it's an old trolling meme used by Groypers and right wingers. Notices bulge, and if you can read this, you're gay. LMAO. Those are just online gaming insults and memes to basically use homosexuality as an insult against your perceived enemies in online gaming, right? That, pretty obvious. The best description I've seen of this, and I think the reason the media is having such a hard time with this, is because they desperately want it to be a Democrat or a Republican, right? A leftist or a MAGA. But this is a different world we're talking
There you
about.
go. There you go.
And so the best summary I saw of this is by somebody named Alexandra Mathieu, who said, a friend and I have been debating whether the alleged Kirk shooter was either a dirtbag left come town chapo stupid poll poster, or if he was an irony poisoned terminally online neo-Nazi Groyper. given the gun casings, which just shows how impenetrable this is going to be for the mainstream media. I'm leaning because of all of the mentions of Ciao and the Groypers claiming that he's one of them, and all of the stuff, from where he comes from. And like you said, the governor being like, we wish this was someone from out of our state, meaning a leftist, or some like a New York lib, which is code for Jewish person, or a foreigner, right? Or a brown person. We wish it was that, but it's not. It's one of our own. He's kind of, I put him in the Groper category. We're going to learn more. I mean, the guy's alive.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
we're going to learn a little bit more. But imagine if you're my age and you kind of are sort of lost on this online gaming community, Groper community. Imagine like Eamon Bundy or a sovereign citizen with a PlayStation 5. Like that's like kind of where this is at. So it is political, but it's so far out in right field that the mainstream media is not going to be able, Nancy Mace isn't going to be able to put it in a box. But you're right. That flip that she made from her video Thursday that she put out saying, and forgive me because I'm about to use a slur, I've had enough. I'm pissed. This is a tranny that did this, and we have to stop these trannies or something like that. She was out for blood when she thought it was, a transgender person or a leftist. And now today we need to pray and hope that this young white boy finds Christ. Like it's bizarre to watch. And I hope that the media, like I've been feeding this information in the piece I just wrote on MillerSheWrote.com about the video game and the Groper movement, been sending it to people I know who appear on mainstream media as consultants, pundits, and talking heads, to give them some background on what the engravings on the gun casings mean, because the mainstream media is still, they came out as
They're
strong and they're
lost.
still talking,
They're lost.
well, it's anti-fascist ideology. That must mean it's a Democrat. And that is just not the case. By a mile, that is not the case.
Folks, this is where this week has revealed this country. I've said this before, Allison, and I said it in my Facebook post yesterday, which I'll read again. Is that you're getting a clear X-ray of America right now. Look at who this country's powerful institutions choose to elevate, venerate, and celebrate. Look at the double standards. Look at the people who adore Charlie Kirk, then spend 5 minutes reviewing his hateful legacy. This is America, folks. If we actually took white supremacy and right-wing terrorism seriously, you'd have reporters and law enforcement officials and elected officials who can understand what's happening. It's the number one domestic terror threat in America for several years running, and nothing else comes close in terms of incidents and actual victims of violence. But we don't talk about it. We ignore it. The Trump administration, in particular, never mentions it. Instead, they focus on what? Immigrants, brown people, transgender people, right? If you took this seriously, you would understand that when the rest of us were frigging sounding the alarm, oh my God, 3 years ago, Donald Trump dined with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. Holy shit, we are here at this moment. They would follow it up relentlessly. They did not. This was post anti-Semitism, Kanye. And I said, freaking Nick Fuentes is dining with Donald Trump, right? I tried my best. I have all the receipts there. And people are like, who's Nick Fuentes? He just looks like a kid. Who cares? And then after the fact, when they told Donald Trump about who Nick Fuentes is, the leader of the Groyper army, we'll break it down for those who don't know. He said, what? Anyway, never mind. I don't know anything. And then The Guardian ran a piece and said that the reason why Donald Trump did not condemn Nick Fuentes, an avowed white nationalist, Christian nationalist, condemned by the Southern Poverty Law Center, condemned by the ADL, who's more far right wing than Charlie Kirk, and who called Charlie Kirk a traitor and a sellout for actually not being far right enough. And by the way, Nick Fuentes also hates Ben Shapiro for also being Jewish and a cuck to Israel, right?
Mhm.
They would understand, oh my God, Donald Trump is mainstreaming Nick Fuentes, a man who said that Hitler was based, who openly advocates for Christian nationalism, said this is a white Christian country, and is even more extreme than Charlie Kirk, who is already extreme. But we don't take it seriously at all. And we give Donald Trump a pass. And then when I and others were like, oh my God, Paul Gosar, Republican congressman, and Marjorie Taylor Greene are speaking at Nick Fuentes' freaking rally. This is a big deal. a pass. Well, that Nick Fuentes of Groypers, we're going to talk about it in a second. Yesterday, Allison, I don't know if you saw, me and my other friend, because we're masochists and we follow this, he went online
Yep.
and his stream had 200,000 people. Nick Fuentes' stream had 200,000 people. And then 3 days ago, finally, a little too little too late, New York Times did a huge piece called Nick Fuentes, a white nationalist problem for the right. 3 days ago, on point. For those who don't know and about what we're talking about, Groypers, Gian, tell us like we're five. I will. I will. Nick Fuentes has something called the Groyper Army, Groyper. I'm bringing these receipts from 5 years ago, the ADL, same ADL that supports Elon Musk now, the same ADL that supports Donald Trump, the same ADL who stays quiet but has no problem to bring all the smoke and fire against pro-Palestinian activists, that ADL. This is from March 2020. Groypers are a loose network of alt-right figures who are vocal supporters of white supremacy and America First podcaster Nick Fuentes. Patrick Casey, who heads the white supremacist American Identity Movement, is also a lead Groyper. Groypers regularly confront mainstream conservative organizations like Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA for failing to promote a truly, quote, America First agenda and for not being adequately pro-white. Many Groypers hold racist and anti-Semitic views. Fuentes is careful to position the Groypers not as white supremacists, but rather as Christian conservatives who, among other things, oppose immigration, globalism, gay and transgender rights, and feminism. It's a white supremacist group that presents its ideology as more nuanced than other groups in the white supremacist sphere. They identify themselves as American nationalists who are part of the America First movement. America First to them means U.S. should close its borders, bar immigrants, oppose globalism, and promote traditional values like Christianity and oppose liberal values such as feminism and LGBTQ plus rights. They hate Israel. They're America First. They hate Jews. And they also hate Charlie Kirk and they hate Ben Shapiro. Allison.
Yeah, agree with everything that you say. And, for about the past week or so, I've been texting people about this. Uh, they've been asking me who I think this is. And I have been saying, given what I've seen online, in media, and what you and I and folks like us know about Groypers and Fuentes and MAGA and the bridges there, I have been telling everyone I think this is a Nick Fuentes fan.
Yep.
Um, this sounds like MAGA on MAGA crime. It sounds like super far right versus far right. Um, it sounds like somebody who didn't think Charlie Kirk was enough of a Nazi. And that's seemingly where we are. We're going to wait for more information to come out about this guy. But all signs so far are pointing to a Groyper, particularly when, his Halloween costume, the Groypers themselves, the use of Ciao Bella, which is a Groyper anthem for, ironically, because it's an anti-fascist
Yeah.
song. But they also tend to believe that everybody to the left of them is a fascist,
Yeah.
unironically. So it's I can't like when that person that I said this is the best summary I've said, uh, irony poisoned. That rang deep down in my soul because a lot of these folks don't realize Super Troopers is irony. They don't realize they're the baddies. They just like the message. It's like when my mom called me up and said that, one of my MAGA relatives, her brother, really enjoys that Stephen Colbert uh, because he thought he was being serious and unironic when he was doing his shtick. Or when I was doing a lot of comedy very early on in my career, and a lot of it was ironic about my the sexual assault that happened to me, and doing ironic comedy about me thinking that the best way for me to get a boyfriend and get laid is to just be drunk and not care and, be a victim of the rape culture, right? And I'm trying to point out the rape culture, but unfortunately, many of the people in the crowd were like, "Hell yeah!" Like
What?
it went right over their head. So I was like, "Well, I got to take that shit out of my set immediately because the irony is lost on people." And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Well,
And
even you said it, Helldivers. Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
Helldivers 2, the game that you reference, folks, is exactly that. It is like if you ever see Starship Troopers by
mhm,
Paul Verhoeven, it is a brilliant movie which people didn't understand was a send up of fascism and Nazis. Paul, it's clear. Verhoeven says we thought it was really clear, but people didn't really seem to understand it because the book is oftentimes used as a fascist militaristic text, and they were upending it about how you become inured to violence, how military soldiers just rah rah rah, the military industrial complex, fascist, and maybe the bugs that they were killing, maybe the bugs were innocent. They just want to live their lives, and it was like the white soldiers, blonde, white, literally,
Punisher.
they had Neil Patrick Harris literally wearing a Nazi uniform in that movie, and
Yeah,
people still didn't get it. And that's Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is an on the nose anti fascist story, a kind of a response to the rah 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 Call of Duty stuff. These people don't understand it, and they co-opted it as type of a pro white supremacist fascist agenda, much like they've co-opted Lord of the Rings, not realizing it. Much like look at
the
Apocalypse Now.
Punisher.
Donald Trump, Donald Trump as Colonel Kilgore, a friggin' sociopath who bombs the Vietnamese village, sells you wants to loves the smell of napalm in the morning, and then in the movie wants to surf.
Hmm. Yeah, the Punisher is another good example of co-opting something that's you're not. I don't, like people who have the Punisher sticker with the American flag on it. I'm like, I don't think you have read the Punisher and what that's actually about. Or, it would be
Palantir,
like, huh?
Palantir, Lord of
Palantir.
the Rings.
It would be like it would be like watching Idiocracy and being like, "Hell yeah, I want a show called Ow My Balls and leave me alone on Baton. I want to get a hand job at a Starbucks. Fuck yeah, I want to do a wrestling match on the White House lawn. Hell yeah, that's badass." Instead of seeing the irony and that you're being mocked, it's completely either lost on them, or I doubt that they understand it and they're using it nefariously, like as almost like as a double agent irony, or you know what I mean? Like it's bizarre. It's bizarre to me that anybody would think that because they put "Hey fascist, catch this" on a bullet, that this person is against an actual person against fascism.
But Allison, it goes back. They don't know and they don't care, right? It's the thing is that even corporate media has bent the knee to right wing bad faith propaganda that the Wall Street Journal and then other folks, that this what was it yesterday that they shamelessly promoted all that bullshit. The shooter's rifle appeared to be engraved with statements expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. Folks, but a senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation cautioned that report had not been verified by ATF analysts, did not match other summaries of the evidence, and might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. Yup, because y'all don't follow white supremacy. You coddle it, you sanitize it, you whitewash it, you excuse it. Why? Because it deals with white conservatives and the Republican Party, which explains also the hagiography of Charlie Kirk, the elevation of Charlie Kirk, the sanitization of Charlie Kirk, and now it's one of us. Allison, it's one of us, it's one of theirs. And they don't know what to do because they got to look at the mirror and see that, oh my God, Nick Fuentes dined with our king and daddy, Donald Trump. Oh my God, this is the monster that we radicalized and created that we wanted to unleash against the left, but the monster has escaped the lab. The monster has now turned on Republicans. It turned on Charlie Kirk. It's turned on Ben Shapiro. They're turning on Donald Trump because of the Epstein files. It ain't us. It ain't us. The number one domestic terror threat in this country is right wing violence. And they tried so desperately to put it on. And by the way, folks, when I'm saying us, I'm talking about anyone who's not MAGA.
Yeah.
That includes Mike Pence, that includes Liz Cheney, that includes like anybody, right? So it's theirs. And one of the things I've been saying, Allison, and you and I have been talking about with the Epstein files, we've been saying it again and again and again. It's the right wing which is leading the Epstein files. It's the Wall Street Journal that published it. It's the right wing that's put pressure on Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. And then after the right wing led it, then you saw corporate media like sheep say, okay, maybe we can finally talk about this.
Yeah, and if there's anybody, if corporate media wants to put this guy in a box, if there's anybody in our politosphere that lines up, it's not necessarily MAGA, it's not obviously Democrats. It's more like the Peter Thiels and the Curtis Yarvins and the tech bros in that super libertarian toxic male space. Those like the Andrew Tates of the world. That's kind of who I'm talking about. I mean, this guy was registered nonpartisan. His parents are both Republicans. I think he was a member of the LDS Church. I don't quote me on that. And to hear the governor say, "I'm so sad it's one of us." I mean, that just is the whole ball of wax. And whether he's talking about Utahns or people on the right, he just desperately didn't want it to be a Christian white male from Utah, and that is ostensibly clear in all the messaging. And to watch people like Nancy Mace have to pivot and say, "Oh, let's pray for him. Let's pray for him." Where the day before she was ready to go to civil war with the Democrats because we did this, is just, it's kind of breathtaking. And there's
It's
so much,
America. It's America.
there's, and there's so much nuance here. The Atlantic did a piece the other day about how these shooters are basically trying to show off for each other. Um, and there's this whole group that needs attention and needs focus. And folks like the Southern Poverty Law Center are on it, and they've been on it for a long time. The groups within our government that have now been dismantled for counterterrorism, that were focusing on white nationalist terrorism as the number one problem, terrorist problem in the United States, now have been dismantled. But they were on it. Even our government was on it, and so we need to get the rest of everybody on board, especially the corporate media. They need to be literate enough to talk about this in a way that is nuanced enough, but simplified enough for them to want to talk about it. They tend to avoid deep dives into complex issues because they only have 2 and 3 minute sound bites. So it'll be interesting to see
They're gonna fail. They're gonna fail, Allison. They're
or
gonna
if they
fail.
even bother, being like,
They're
no,
not
nobody,
equipped.
people's eyes are going to glaze over when you start talking about Groyper and memes and playlists and war
You got
against.
no, you have, but I guarantee you, more and more, not, people. I've been, doing. I think, gosh, I've been doing this is my third one today. More and more people are like, I'm googling. Oh my god, what the heck? Um, you're not gonna get on corporate media. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the experts. They don't have the background. They don't have the ability to call it out because you have to call it out. This is a right wing problem. You cannot both sides this. And furthermore, like you said, they're not built for context and deep dives. You need the context, the deep dives, the connection of the dots, which is what we've been trying to do here on my Substack. I'm a one man shop. Alice has been trying to do.
It's why
I'm
I
going to.
started a podcast about the Mueller investigation, because you can't fit the Mueller report on a bumper sticker. Instead, in the mainstream media, you've got Ken Delanian saying the Mueller report completely exonerates Trump. The end. Next story. And there's just so much more to it than that. And I think this is the time for, once again, independent media to shine and to make gains on corporate media in this particular space. And
You said the Ammon Bundys and the militia groups, right? If they were online, I'm going to take it a step further. This is if Timothy McVeigh was a gamer and
there you go.
part of the right wing insult culture. Um, Folks, Gamergate, uh,
Mm.
QAnon, anti-transgender, anti-woman sentiment that dominates the manosphere in pop culture, when it comes to games, when it comes to humor, when it comes to wellness, the Andrew Tates. People are not paying attention to this stuff. More and more of your kids and teenagers know this stuff and are influenced by this stuff than you will care to realize, and it is terrifying. This is a guy whom allegedly he's the alleged shooter, turned himself in, white, straight, from a Republican, Christian, Blue Lives Matter, hardcore pro gun enthusiast family that voted Trump. There's a photo of him with a Trump shirt. This is a man who's not transgender, and all the
I, d-
evidence
I,
that we have.
I don't think the photo of the Tyler kid with the Trump shirt is real, but there is with his dad.
Yeah, his
They're
dad,
sort
right.
of
Yeah, they're Republicans, Trump voting family. We don't know how he voted. He's only 22. But what we do know is that's his background. Not Muslims, not black people, not lefties. And
FEC says he
furthermore,
hasn't voted. He in the
yeah,
last two cycles, which is
he didn't, right?
the only two that he's been able to vote in, he has not voted.
Yeah, he did not. But that's why some people say he voted. And like we try to give you the facts here. But what we know from the facts is increasingly, again, we'll find out more, and he is alive. The comments etched on the bullets. Notices bulges. Hey, fascist catch. Bella Ciao. If you read this, you are gay. LMAO. The reference to Helldivers 2. Him posing as a Pepe, the frog, the Groyper's icon for Halloween. Folks, um, the question you should be asking yourselves, the question that I've been asking for 2.5 years, is why did Donald Trump dine with Nick Fuentes, leader of the Groyper Army, and how come he has never condemned it? I've always been asking that. I've said that when I come on Piers Morgan's show. Every time I bring up Nick Fuentes dining with Donald Trump, they always do what they're going to do right now. Pivot, 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 distract, 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 and ignore, ignore, ignore. Folks,
Yeah. And
go ahead.
just one other thing. Somebody asked how to spell Groyper. You spelled it Groyper. You got it correct, Teresa. And I also just want to point out the fact that Governor Cox read on national television, if you're reading this, you're gay, LMAO. That is the joke being realized.
That's right.
That was the joke on him.
And he didn't even realize he was being played. He didn't even realize
Right.
uh, because he has no idea. Because it's one of us. It's in their house. It's happening under their nose. This is the Frankenstein that they've created, the monster that they've weaponized, that they thought they could unleash against the rest of us. And the monster has now left the lab and is coming
Yeah.
after its creators. They have hated Charlie Kirk for years for not being America first and racist enough. They have also hated Ben Shapiro. And folks, right now, there's a split within MAGA over Epstein. They have been radicalized with the QAnon conspiracy that Donald Trump openly embraced because he realized his base liked it and would help him attack the left in the deep state. And then today, again, when Donald Trump was asked about what he can do, said, "I don't care," and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about any of you, any of us, any of his base. The farmers who are dying, the white farmers who are desperate, literally praying to God right now. He's a desperate rabid rat who will chew through anything and everyone to stay alive.
Mhm.
And here we are, folks. Allison,
Yeah.
shamelessly promote yourself.
Just subscribe to my Substack. It's free. Subscribe to Waj's Substack. It's also free because we're terrible capitalists. If you want to voluntarily sign up to be a paid subscriber, there's nothing behind a paywall. That's just because out of the kindness of your heart, and you can swing it, and we appreciate that too. And follow me on social media, Muller She Wrote. And if you get a chance and you haven't listened to the Daily Beans yet, I'm really proud of that podcast. I get to bring you the news in a way that helps you maintain your sanity. I break things down. I use appropriate profanity. And I have a wonderful co-host named Dana Goldberg, who has, by the way, to date now raised about $75 million for LGBTQ plus and
Wow.
reproductive rights causes. So we're women owned, we're progressive, and we would love it if you would give it a shot. It's got this is the old logo. The new logo has the rainbow pride flag on it. And we had it up for Pride, and we just decided that we aren't going to take it down. So it's pretty easy to spot wherever you get your podcasts, and it's free. It's always free. So I hope you give it a listen so that you can get your news, you can stay informed without Scott Jennings.
Oh, yeah, and maybe Ezra Klein. Maybe no Ezra Klein and no
No
Scott
other
Jennings.
fun. And by the way, I think that they should hire back Matthew Dowd because he was right.
Because he was right. Because he was right. And we're going to find out. Well, I can't say. Another person got laid off. They haven't announced yet. Maybe this outlet will reconsider. But I can't share that, unfortunately, right now. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But you know what? You're going to get it here at the Left Hook and a Muller She Wrote. It's independent. We depend on the kindness of strangers. Everything is free. No paywalls. For those who joined us a bit late, I'm talking to Allison. We'll have it up on our Substacks within 30 minutes. And we try to connect it us for people like, what, Groypers? Helldivers too? What's happening? We try to explain it to you, not out of condescension, but because a lot of people have no idea. You're going to learn a lot about it. And Nick
Yeah.
Fuentes,
And
and we,
by the way, Waj, I should also say Sunday at 3:30 on Midas Touch Live on their live feed, my second episode ever of a video podcast. We'll come.
video podcast.
I'll be going over that too. So that's Sunday at 3:30 on the Midas Touch live feed, and I'm doing video because I was told that I have to, but I'm not. I'm not going to wear makeup because I refuse to pay the glam tax. So I'll see you
And
at
makeup and
Sunday.
heels. Lev joined Lev. I got to talk to you later today, but right now Zev has asked me to join him. So I'm going to go over to Zev's. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. And then I'll talk to Lev if Lev wants to talk to me. Then I'm on Don Lemon with Taylor Lorenz, who knows this stuff. If they had a few more Taylor Lorenzes, they'd understand. That'll be at 5:18 to 5:35. And then at 6, guest hosting from Mary Trump. Anyway. Uh, yeah. Anyway, folks, take care of yourself. Be kind. Support Allison. And those who haven't watched this, it'll be up in 30, 40 minutes. Take care.
Thanks, Wash.